Today we'll be hearing from Manaz Eshetsu from Refugees Women's Alliance, and she's the executive director. So if there's not any questions, we'll go ahead and get started. Let's welcome Manaz.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to be here. We work with University of Washington. Let me just introduce myself. My name is Manaz Eshetsu, and I am the Executive Director of Refugee Women's Alliance. I am excited to be here. We work with University of Washington quite a bit. We have a lot of health sciences students, nursing school students, social sciences students volunteer with us, and without their work, we can't accomplish what we do. Let me tell you a little bit about REWA. Refugee Women's Alliance was established in 1985 by 3 Vietnamese women who came here as a refugee, and then they found their way, they became prosperous, and they wanted to help their community. So what they did, they started this organization. It was a very small organization with the budget was around, I would say, maybe 100,000, 130,000. The first programs that they offered there were 2 programs. There were childcare and domestic violence. Later on, REWA grew to where we are at right now over the past 30 years. We are celebrating our 30th anniversary this fall. And over this past 30 years, we grow to have about 10 programs in 10 different locations, and I will give you an explanation of what we do later. But before we move forward, I have 2 videos in here to give you a little explanation of what refugees and immigrants are about and what we do. As far as the refugees, do you have any, do you know what the difference between refugees and immigrants? Refugees come here actually legally. They don't have immigration status yet when they come to the United States. So it will take time to earn their immigration and naturalization, so they can become citizens. So they're not unlawful immigrants. They're just their status is legal. They come here and to kind of assimilate, integrate, and start a new life. So without going further, I will give you more explanation, but I would like for you we are very proud of this video that we have on our website, and I would like for you to take a look at it. And then I can just give you a little bit more information later. No. Thank you. So this is what we're all about. Our mission is inclusion and of all refugees and immigrants, and also providing equal opportunity and equity and justice and for all the refugees and immigrants who come to United States. You saw our effects. We have 10 different programs that wraparound systems that we develop sort of a wraparound system of services to be responsive to the immediate needs of refugees and immigrants. When refugees come to United States, they come through the refugee resettlement agencies, and they have a house or a home, a place to stay for a couple of months. After that, they're on their own. They refer them to agencies like REWA, and it's our job then to provide, to help them learn English, to help them find jobs, to help them get education if they need, to help them find housing, to help them go through the Department of Health and Social Services to be able to get some public assistance for the first few months that they are here. And they get some public assistance, which is not much, and it's not going to carry them through their life. So the emphasis is for them to assimilate, to integrate, and find jobs and be productive. So the services that we provide is are from English as a language, second language, which we provide in different levels. We have job search. The minute that they start working with us, the day that they start learning English, they're required to find jobs. So we are, at the same time that we are teaching them English, we have to also teach them how to write resumes, how to, we write resumes for some of them, and how to look for jobs, and sometimes we do job training. And we also have, we do a lot of case management. And they need housing, so we work with a lot of housing developers so that we can refer the refugees to, or the families that are coming to the United States to the housing complexes. And as you know, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, in Seattle, housing of course is very expensive, but there's also a shortage of affordable housing. Every year we build a lot of, the housing developers, affordable housing developers, build a lot of different building complexes, but it's not responsive, it's not sufficient for the level of homelessness that we have in Washington. Now, the state of Washington is right now number 9 in receiving refugees and who are coming to the United States. 10 years ago, we used to be number 2, but now we're number 9. But it doesn't mean that we don't get enough refugees. We get every year, we get somewhere between 2,500 to 3,700 refugees in the Puget Sound area in the state of Washington. In 2015, the estimation is that we get somewhere between 3,500 to 3,700. The numbers are growing, but we're not, we rank 9 because the number of refugees who are coming to the United States are growing, but our state is not getting, we're not ranking number 2, but the numbers that we receive are growing. And so, as they come to the United States, are the challenges that they face, which this video was trying to show, is that housing, is that homelessness, is that finding where to go, it's that depression that they go through. And we also have mental health programs, which we call it behavioral health. We work with a lot of multi-ethnic, multicultural clients, and to some, mental health is not, doesn't resonate, so we need to change and say behavioral health. And it's really a behavioral health because they deal with a lot of the stress, and the stress from not knowing where they're going to be, not having enough money. They come basically with nothing on their back. Some of them come with no education. The level of education varies. Some come with really higher education. Even those people who have PhDs and they're like medical doctors, a dentist, they also, go through that period of adjustment that they need to pass the board exams and they need to assimilate and integrate before they can, they can find a job. And so most refugees go through the same thing. It's just that the process of, one who comes here with no education and needs to start at level 1 and then start learning and being trained on, finding a work, finding a job. That is the difference. But they all have needs for home. They all have needs for food, needs for childcare. Right now we receive, most of the refugees are coming to the Puget Sound area and to the state of Washington. Number 1 is from Iraq, number 2 from Somali, 3 and 4 are Burmese and Bhutanese, and then we go down to some Iranians, some people from different parts of the world, Vietnamese, Chinese, and but the majority are from these populations or ethnicities that I mentioned. And the challenge is, it's so many folds for them. They come here, they all have different religions, different background, different culture. They have to learn about American culture. They have to learn, they want to keep their values, their cultural values, of course, but they also need to integrate and assimilate. And so it is a really a very tough process for them for the first, I would say 5 years. During the first 5 years that they're, they're in the United States, they receive some public subsidy, but it's not much to allow them to really, to have a great life. I mean, they get somewhere between $600. If you're a child, you get maybe $300-400. So most of the families that we're seeing right now are families from Somalis and Congo, and they're large families. They come like with 5 or 8 children, and when it comes to housing, it's very hard to find housing for them. I don't know if you're aware of that. In Seattle, every night we have about 2,700 homeless sleeping on the street. And as I'm getting a statistic that every night there are 3 or 4 refugee families also sleeping on the street. And some, for our mainstream homeless, there are shelters that they could go to. With refugees who don't understand English, don't speak English, and they have special needs, finding a shelter would be very tough because the accommodation is the different culture. They don't feel comfortable being in one big room with everyone. So it's really a hassle. But we try to provide the services that they need. We try to get them through, the number 1 is language proficiency, to get them through all those classes. We provide for them childcare services. We provide also, as you know, the culture of many ethnicities are different than our culture in here. Something that could be normal in their country may not be normal in here. Like some behavior that we consider as domestic violence could be normal in some countries. And so our domestic violence is very popular amongst refugee and immigrants. It's been at work since 1985, so we deal with lots of them. We also, we are also dealing with, acculturation, which is very hard for some of the populations who are coming over here, because it's totally, what we do is totally different. We talk about freedom of speech. And they didn't have the freedom of speech in their country, so they come over here and it's just, wow, I can now talk, I can have a freedom of speech and talk about whatever I want, or the freedom of religion. Sometimes they're confused about how far they can go, how far they can, how far what the freedom of religion means. So it takes a lot of perseverance, a lot of hard work from our case managers and our employees, and also our volunteers. We have about 133 employees, and we have about 275 volunteers. And I'm proud to say that most of them are from the University of Washington and Seattle University. And so they help us with, from our English classes, in our youth development classes that we pair one English-speaking teacher with one bilingual speaking teacher so that we could help the youth, through their homeworks and also through that in enrichment classes. In our early childcare education, we also have bilingual. It means that we have assistant teachers who are speaking different languages, depending on which class they are at and the population of that class. We also have teachers who are speaking only English. So we try to teach them both, to keep their values, keep their language, and also learn English. In our in our English language classes, we have to cater to people with different level of English speaking. So it's very hard, but we're not able to do it without the volunteers that we have, like yourselves or your peers in here. Basically, it's a tough road for refugees and immigrants, but there's services available through us and other organizations that we are available for them to help them. Main impediment for refugees and immigrants is housing and finding jobs that they could stay on the job. Once we find a job for them, our case managers will work with them to find jobs, and if they need workforce training, we will train them. We will stay with them in contact with them and the employer for 3 months until we make sure that they're sort of assimilated and they're integrated and they can continue. If they lose their jobs by any chance, they come back to us again and we will retrain. But it has been hard for us to keep track of what happens after that 3 months, because some refugees leave the state because our state is becoming more and more expensive for people with very limited income. And so with that, I'm going to show you another video that will show, that speaks to some of our, the level that we help our clients, and also show, maybe have some information about, or have some discussion with the clients who receive services from us. And then if you have any question, I'm happy to answer.
Is a survival for refugees. You have to survive. The malaria diseases, we lost so many people that we can throw it for that area.
الأسباب كان حروب وقتال ما تعرف يعني صراحة ظروفنا احنا ما تعرف ظروفنا صديقة.
We had to walk a long way to the camp. It was very, very hard.
I was wondering, there's lack of almost everything, lack of food, water, education.
It was really hard to get to this leave my grandmother. I just still talk to her, but I can feel that she's crying or she's in my voice.
I'm telling you, you are nowhere. I know some people who are going to do some marriage, they can see that. But you say, they don't have any solution.
It's hard to know how these get on. It's anybody's guess which country will take those people to immigrate in their country. So these people are homeless, just waiting. Someday, some country will help me.
So I spent there like 13 years as a refugee. Before they brought, we did a process, and it took about 1 year.
This work was like, immediately was what? Our process started. Somebody came running to us in the house and went, they got us. It was around 8, and then in fact on 23rd around the 5.
It was like dark. We came at night.
It was pretty scary because I never been in there.
Cannot imagine because everything is new. How buildings, very big, view across the sun. So you wonder what will happen to you, where you guys came tonight. But at least I was happy.
صراحة أنا أول ما جيت كنت أملي يعني إن أنا أساس أشتغل وأسوي لي مستقبل. بس الجد هنا بصراحة كل شيء ما طلع مثل ما أنا
You just stay at home, you don't go anywhere, you don't know what to do.
You feel like going back because you don't know where to start. Because the buses, you don't know where they're going, you don't know any office, you don't know who is hiring, where, which company is there, you don't know anywhere.
You have a certificate, you have all a resume. If you say no, it's difficult to get the job.
Self-employed, KFC, three small. I'm looking for a job again.
The first place I started, my case worker there was never helpful. There's no one-on-one. Computer help is not there. And you are told, apply online. You are told the computer is there, do your work.
Yeah, probably came to us March 19, 2013.
Because by then I was in crisis. Yes, they give you 640, the house is 750. By then I would never have savings, it was almost over. So I was stressed, could not sleep.
I've been through what it is like coming to America with no possessions, right? Without knowing anyone, having confronted so much obstacles in life.
I will hold her hand through the whole process until they be self-sufficient.
No, in fact, some people told me, why are you wasting your time? Go to your you are better. I need somebody else, this name is common, I don't know what anyone is.
صراحة أنا كنت يعني شهر إذا نظم ساعدني شهر وراها ما كان ما تقيم ساعة يعني أنا كنت حاسبها مصير الشهر لأن لا تنسى كيف الرجال ولا أحد يساعدك هذا الريوة يعني في ساعة.
So when somebody comes and say, I need a housing, we say, what language do you speak? There's someone who can help with their language without the fear of, I can't communicate.
I work with Refugee closely and coaching him to search jobs effectively, seminar for interview skills, and job application online.
He made for me the receipt, he told me how to do. He took application, in fact, 3 to 4 places. Then the third place he tried was ABM and he was successful. Because he did.
I take training from you, like every childhood. It's like you look at me as a teacher assistant. I get job from you. Whether I get my help from you.
Then I told Mama about my life becoming really happy.
Now I'm in Rima and today I'm so happy because I got my certificate, it's my graduation. It's for CPR and child care.
Even this morning I opened the computer, I was looking for jobs, I can even apply. Yeah, even now I'm in level 4, ESL. I learn Monday to Wednesday, ESL, then Thursday I go the computer class.
You come here and then you are good, like we not only do social services, we do employment, we do behavioral health, like in the same building.
We're not just helping them, we're kind of mentoring them.
I'll be raised by example. I learned from my mentor and tutors at Riva.
Riva is their mother and father. Whatever program Riva has, they must be there always. When the school reopens, she will go. Extra coaching, extra helping them with their language, homework.
Reward, they're not only going to help you with homework. They have a lot of opportunities that you can join. I joined a graduation group and we went to a Olympia trip.
We are one of the unique organizations in Washington that advocate for
And every year we legislate and we go to Olympia.
Thank you so much for inspiring us with your presence here today. Each of your stories is a profile of courage.
So what we need for you to do is exactly what you are doing. Make it very clear that those budget issues that have a disproportionate impact if they were to cut them on our communities are not cut.
It's very soft to say, yes, we saved this program, the legislation, heard from you. And people are getting it, what is the value of becoming a citizen, to have a voice and to speak up for you and your family and your kids.
مداري فور مدرسة الإيمان هجرة. When you are a citizen, you are fully a citizen. I don't know how to express.
got a letter in the mail saying like congratulations, like you get accepted to was
My parents are all asleep. It's all alone. I was awake. I have to check them in because my friend get in when I didn't get in. I just went there slowly, check my mail. There's an envelope.
I also got a couple of scholarships. I applied like about like 10 or 12 scholarships, and I got like 8 or 9.
I couldn't read it. I just went home and slowly opened the envelope and said congratulations. I was screaming. Oh my God, and I couldn't wait. I just have to wait on my mom and scream.
My goal is to become an aerospace engineer. Yeah, and eventually work at Boeing.
All the refugees who moved to America, if you ask them the reason why they moved to America, the first answer would be to have a better future for their children.
Because myself, I didn't get education, but now my children have future. You see, my daughter now can speak English when she's 6 years, but me when I was 6 years, I didn't know anything. Even my young boy, he can talk, they want it.
They have a kid's future.
They have a future.
Because you know, if you die, you know they're somewhere.
We don't just work for today, we work for the future. We show them the road of success.
Before we didn't have nothing. Now it's a lot of it we can change. It's a nice thing, you know.
You are having a lot of job. And in fact, they need to do more. If they get the funds, I know they can do more.
Spending more time with other people after your mom, you feel like more confident.
Be brave. Be brave and just explore new things and they will support you. Just ask. They're there for you.
So I just wanted to say that some of those our employees are actually, they used to be refugees and they received help from us. They went to college, they finished college, and while they were working for us, and they're still being employed by us. You know, as you can see, people come here to realize their dreams. And there are opportunities here. They come here because of opportunities. Because of, you know, that's what the United States is all about. The freedom and the opportunity to realize their dream. Refugees are, from day one, as you could see here, they faced a lot of impediments, not coming here with nothing on their back, no money, not knowing English, not having any network, not having a friend. It is really hard, and you really, I mean, I came here as an immigrant myself, but I was a student like you when something happened to my country that I didn't like, and I was supported, I had network, and so I decided to stay, to stay here and become a citizen. Yet, I went through depression of losing, your country that you were born. But imagine, you come here with nothing and no network, not knowing anyone, and no money, no education. It's just their perseverance and their hope and their hard work to reach their dreams. And that's what's inspiring and really exciting for us to work with them every day. Our staff, excuse me, we have our staff also are multi-ethnic, multicultural staff. If you come to Riva, to our building, and you close the door, you think that you're in United Nations. We speak 60 different languages. And so if you know of anyone who needs help, and if you're willing to work with us, we would love to have you as volunteers, and we welcome you. And so with that, if you have any question, I'm open to questions. We still have a few minutes, right?
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. You got a question?
Yeah. We've seen, like, when we go to Mary's place, we've seen refugees there. I was wondering, what's the process from coming here when the assistance runs out? are they selected to go to a specific shelter, or do they personally go to the shelter? And if they do, what's the process of them?
Well, the process is that, after a month or so, they're on their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they come to organizations like Riva or Mary's Place. Then we have to find housing for them. And that process is lengthy. Shelters they're not, there are shelters around, of course, but because they don't have anyone to speak all the languages, sometimes refugees don't get in right away. And housing, it's another process. Sometimes it takes 2 months to get them to, transitional or permanent housing. So that's an issue. But our caseworkers also work with them to find housing, to find jobs, and to sustain themselves, and to find, their way to doctors and clinics and whatever that their needs are. And it's a process.
That was mostly the point I was going to bring up. I just wanted to mention, I know it's hard for some first and second years to imagine, we don't interact with this community all that much, but I know third and fourth years can probably say, we each probably had 1 or 2 patients that come from either a really culturally diverse background or possibly even a refugee sort of situation. I wanted to note, how we saw some at Mary's Place, and you'll see them in clinic. They'll come in and just be very open and, do the best you can. You saw there, those of you who went to Demo Action Day, they were down at Olympia, and we go down there and we, fight for our profession, we fight for school. They're down there fighting for their lives and their families and all of that, so be conscious of it.
Another thing, thank you for bringing that up. Every year, we take about 900 to 1,700 refugees and immigrants to Olympia, and showing them firsthand how that our constitution and legislation works is so exciting for them. And they can't believe it, that they could actually walk in to the representatives or the senator's office and give them a position paper and say, please save this budget that is going to help me to succeed in the United States. So that was a good point. Thank you for bringing it up. Any other questions?
I was wondering if you also help them with their medical needs and if they can sign up for insurance or Medicaid.
Yes, we do. We do help them sign up for insurance and Medicare and all that. Unfortunately, we don't have the funding to have a clinic for them. I think a few years ago, University of Washington had free clinic on Saturdays, but we don't have that anymore. We have free legal clinic. We also have attorneys on staff who would help them with immigration and naturalization services. But yes, we help for filling out all the papers that they need in order to sustain themselves, including insurance and all that. We help them to find cars. We help them to buy cars. We try to help them not to be not to go through the fraudulent, practices of some who are aiming at refugees and immigrants. But there's still volatile elements of our society, and they need help. Yes.
Somebody in the video mentioned joint volunteer agency. I don't know, can you elaborate on that?
Joint volunteer.
Yeah, he said that his family got joint volunteer agency. JVA. Yeah, JVA.
Oh, Jewish. I think that was joint volunteer. I'm not familiar with joint volunteer agency. They get refugee status. They come over here, and then they go to different agencies that would help them. Maybe they meant Jewish Family Services, because Jewish Family Services is one of the resettlement agencies who brings the refugees to the United States.
Maybe
I think that's it.
Okay.
I did want to share with everybody just personally how I am impacted by this. My mother-in-law is in a nursing home, and actually a lot of the employees that are taking care of our elders right now in these assisted livings are actually refugees, I believe. Okay. So they're doing jobs that are actually, that are not easy jobs.
They're doing jobs, as traditionally. Some of the immigrants are paying the lowest paying, working on lowest paying jobs that normal Americans won't do. Refugees also, all of these are low paying jobs, but they're happy to do it because it helps them become, sustain their lives. And home health care, and working in a nursing home, working in daycares, if they don't have any higher education, those are the type of jobs that they get. Working at the airport, working taxi cabs sometimes, and those are the type of jobs that they have. But as they become assimilated and integrated, and they find their ways, they go to college, as you saw, and they become successful, and they really become very productive elements of the society. And they all are in any level that they work, because nobody comes here to rely on public assistance. It's just not sustainable. Everyone who come here, they want to realize their dream and build a better future for themselves and for their children.
I think with that, we'll go ahead and we'll close. Just want to remind everyone, we are having a meeting next week, next Thursday, same place, same time. May or may not be food present, so show up, tell your friends, hang out. Yeah, it's Dr. Mark Code from Yakima Farm Workers Association, or Clinic.
You will also be talking about GPR residency there, so those of you who are interested in residency over there, we'll have some information.
So good to know. Aside from that, got the first video on health and homelessness today. I'm going to have the other two on tonight, so healthandhomelessness.com for those of you who are doing some makeup activities. If you need help getting the rest of your volunteer hours, please come talk to either Evelyn or Liz or myself, and we'll see what we can do. If you don't get your service hours this quarter, it's okay. You'll get a temporary eye until you do the volunteer service hours next quarter, and then it'll just kind of fill in and you'll be switched to a pass. So don't worry too much. Okay, thanks everyone.